We listen, but we don't judge. But sometimes we be judging. So
Judging. I judge.
we're not judging. We're not judging. So I want the audience to remember that we are talking about people. So we want to give grace and there was another word I had in my mind, but grace is there now. Just patience and grace and a bit of understanding. And I do want to check in with you. So we didn't do your greeting. I'm going to let you do your greeting. Do you want to do welcome to another episode of Sam and Jen Got Divorced with no Sam?
No Sam.
So go ahead, girls.
Sam.
Start this.
Thank you guys so much for joining in, for tuning in always to hear whatever it is we have to share and say on Sam and Jen Got Divorced. I like to say that our marriage didn't work, but maybe our podcast will. So thank you again. And thank you so much, Shereen, for being present and for making this happen here today.
Yeah. Just wait. I don't know.
I don't know how much I'm going to be thanking her later.
Exactly.
But
I'm not
for
even
now,
good. Yeah.
I'm grateful.
You're welcome for the space. No.
Yes, absolutely.
I do think that it's going to be a respectful conversation. And I do listen on the side. So it's going to be a little bit uncut and raw. I have a few questions. I have a guideline kind of, but I like to kind of just go off the top because that's where I feel like the most organic questions come. Yeah. You and Sam have been recording for months now. For months, but you don't actually live in Toronto. No. And so I'm also the technician, so I can only look at things for so long to make sure we're capturing
this is going to be fun.
Yes. So I've prefaced to the audience that we're going to try to keep it to 30 minutes, but we'll see how we do. I want to go back to you being married. This has been over 10 years ago, right? The cause of the separation and the divorce, we understand there was an addiction. We don't know to this point. It has not been shared with the audience what it is. And we're going to keep it like that during this conversation. But obviously, Jen knows because she got divorced. I want to go back to the emotions that you felt when you found out about the addiction.
Yeah. Whew. I think there's a combination. There are layers and floods or waves, let's say, of varied emotions. On some level, I knew something was amiss, and so dealing with the unmet expectations of what I thought marriage was going to be like and feel like, and what I wanted it to be like, was an ongoing, ever-existing experience in my marriage. And so there was an undercurrent of disappointment, of shock and surprise, sadness as well. And so there's a grief that I carried daily and that I experienced very early on.
Right.
Because the day after we got married, we had an encounter that revealed to me a different part or side of Samuel that I hadn't been introduced to during our courting and planning of the wedding and dating and getting married. So part of that revelation immediately struck me, but also caused me to move into a space of like grief. I was like, oh my God, like what did I sign up for? What am I getting myself into for real? And at that moment, because I didn't know what was coming, I had to grieve what I thought was going to be a blissful,
but that's crazy
kind of marriage.
The day after.
The day after. It was the day after.
The day after is crazy.
Yeah.
Because we haven't started the honeymoon.
No. We didn't have that. I didn't have that. I shouldn't say we didn't have that. I should say I didn't have that. I won't speak to Samuel's experience.
Right.
Because he was just in a different headspace. But I know for me, that was the moment. I remember the moment. I remember where I was sitting. I was in the car. I remember where we were in the GTA.
Excuse me.
And I just thought, oh my God, what am I doing?
Okay, I need to say that um, I'm going to ask you a question, but just hold off on the answer. I want to know how long you guys were dating before you guys got married. I do not remember. Even though she said I've been here the whole time, I don't remember everything. And the reason I wanted to have this conversation is probably two things. Jen and Sam were here just days ago recording their next set of episodes, and she forgot something. And so she came back to pick it up just days ago. And I feel like I've seen at that time a different side of Jen I've never seen. And so that's what prompted me to say we should sit down and have an intimate conversation when no one is around. Mm-hmm. Because what I want you to understand is that Jen does not live here. So when you visit is different from when you live here, sure. Right? Because one, everybody wants to see you, right? The friends,
and I want to see everyone.
And right. But when Jen comes to the studio to record, the folks that are coming to the studio to interview them, because that's their format, they sit down and they get interviewed by their friends. They may not have seen them for a long time. Mm-hmm. So as the wall, I have seen people ask each other questions that not everybody hears because some people are outside in like the foyer, mm-hmm. Just so happy to say, hey girl, how you doing? Right. And then I hear, so what you thinking? What you gonna do? And I was like, oh child, this is gonna get spicy. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't always happen. So.
And everybody's on their best behavior once the cameras go on.
Everybody's on. That's it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you said it. Mm-hmm. And everyone's on their best behavior. Mm-hmm. So if there was some bad behavior that was about to happen, we may not see it. Mm-hmm. You may not see it on the podcast. And so I do think that's why we're going to have this very authentic, raw, uncut conversation. Mm-hmm. How long were you dating for or courting for prior to the wedding day? Approximately.
So officially, I say 7 months.
Okay, so it is a short time.
Maybe 9 months. I say 7 months. Officially dating. When I say dating, I think you asked me to spend time with you alone, and we had conversation that was geared towards getting to know one another. At the time, we called it fostering a friendship. We had been friends. We had known each other for years. We have mutual friends and so on. So we've been in the same spaces and so on. Right. But never just the two of us getting to know one another and with the understanding that there was a romantic element involved now. So officially, I'm going to say 7 months.
And 7 months of bliss, laughter, joy, love, emotions. Is this what we're getting? 7 months of like, oh my goodness, I see life with this person. I want to do life with, like, I'm saying it and I'm feeling it. Mm-hmm. Like, is that what you were feeling for 7 months? Maybe not month one, but like 6 months of just sheer bliss?
I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
I would say there was 7 months of real conversation about what we wanted life to be like and look like, and a lot of crossover. So a lot of acknowledgement of the crossovers that existed between the two of us and what we saw life becoming or being for us as individuals and what we could build together. So a lot of like alignment when it came to like faith and purpose and passion and pursuit of, growth and challenges and like just like a lot of that. So a lot of clicking happening. Yeah. But I wouldn't say like fairy tale bliss, rose-colored glasses, like lovey-dovey. I wouldn't say that element was a part of that 7 month period.
But I like that the way you described it, because it actually seems like a very mature conversation.
Oh, for sure.
And that's when you are intentionally courting for marriage.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It was very intentional.
Yeah. And so both mindsets, because a lot of people talk about dating and being single and all this jazz there, but both mindsets are in the space of I am looking for my partner and these are the values and the elements that
Yes.
they need to align with. And they do talk about this in their podcast. So follow, subscribe, all the great stuff. Watch all the episodes. And they definitely, you guys talk about values a lot, right?
Yeah.
Faith and values. So it is extremely intentional. What happened the day after you got married?
Yeah. So the wedding day was interesting for me. Part of what I imagined a wedding day to be like included the fuzzies and the feelings and the, you know, sort of the fairy tale stuff. And while it looked that way, I didn't feel that way. I was like, oh wow, this is a very sobering moment for me, like getting married.
Why?
Very sobering.
Explain sobering.
So I'm choosing to attach my life to someone else. And for me, that really meant accepting whatever came in terms of this person and being willing to share my unevolved, you know, ugly, like beautiful, all of the parts of me that I may not have and did not, I should say, share or feel comfortable sharing with everybody else.
Yeah.
Right. So this was like intense. Like, okay, this is a real commitment here.
Yeah.
Right. This is life.
Yeah.
I'm choosing to like rock with somebody, work it out with somebody, and stick with somebody.
Yeah.
Through the ups and downs and craziness of life.
How old were you guys, if you don't mind me asking?
I was 30, like early 30s, and he's 5 years younger than me. So he was like, I think he was 29 or something like that.
Okay.
No, 27. He was 27. I was 33.
Yeah. I only ask because you got, it's very mature, right? It's very, very mature mindset. And there's still always like parts that we need to discover about ourselves, what we like, what we don't like, what we want to do, what we don't want to do. Like there's a lot of things we don't know. You don't know what you don't know. Right? But yet
so many things that we didn't know.
You're learning it together. You're willing to take the plunge.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's part of the agreement that we make. But in that there's also a sacrificial element, right? To let go of some of the wishes and hopes that you had. So I had to let go of some of the things that I thought I needed and wanted in a marriage. Now, the day after we got married, we were driving, and I don't know what the argument was about. I don't know, or the disagreement. Sorry, because it wasn't an argument. We were having some kind of conversation. I just remember he stopped the car and he exploded. Like rage, like fire. I don't know if you guys ever seen cartoons where like the smoke is coming out of the ears.
Wait, I think you guys talked about this on the podcast.
I mean, there were lots of moments like that after the fact.
Okay.
But this was the day after. And he just went into this rage that to me came out of nowhere. And I was scared. Like I was terrified. I don't even like to admit that I'm scared. I usually like I ain't never scared.
Yeah, right?
And I listen. I can roll with the best of them. I like thrill seeking, and I'll do all the skydiving and all the things and whatever. So I don't get scared easy.
Yeah.
But in that moment, I was scared. I was like, "Who the heck? What?"
And on top of that, you're like,
and I have a ring on.
I gotta get this ring on my finger, but I can't do it right now. Like, how do I get out of here?
I was like, I done committed my life to a crazy person. What?
Yo, I'm getting scared just sitting here. My
I
whole
was scared.
heart.
I was scared. Yeah,
oh, God.
It was a scary moment. And I just didn't know. I was like, is he gonna like? I've never been in an abusive relationship and, you know, whatever. So
you're like, this is not my life. I don't know what you're about to do, but this is not my life.
But in the moment I was like, I don't know if he could fly off the handle and like, you know, box me in my face or something.
I did your, oh my God.
Yeah,
thankfully not.
It was a moment. And then I remember something died that day, like for sure.
But, oh Lord. I want to be mindful of what we say. I don't want to hurt anybody in the process, but I also want to get the real. was something missing from the beginning though? Because it was so intentional, and I asked about the blissfulness, and it wasn't like you said, sure, there was the bliss, but we were very intentional. We did this, we did this, we did this. So something died, but was something already missing? Like you said, it's a sobering moment.
I'd never been down that road before.
Right. So you don't even know.
Yeah. I had no personal context of what needed to be there, what could be there, that kind of thing. I knew from other people's experiences and them sharing with me. I knew from media and culture and all that kind of stuff. But I also realized that a lot of the things that people did when it came to marriage just didn't work. So I knew I didn't want to just have these particular components, like feelings and bliss and chemistry and sexual attraction. That wasn't enough.
Yeah, you needed more.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
that doesn't take away from needing that as well.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, to me, it wasn't number one or number two on my priority list. And having number one and number two, having like a strong faith foundation, having similar values, having similar ideas about how to do life. And that meant how to treat one another.
And how to work through conflict resolution.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So how'd you work through that situation?
Ooh, mercy. In that
Besides
moment,
shutting down,
no,
you have
in
said
that moment I shut down.
Yeah, because she said you got to watch the show. Like you just got to watch it. She has said that she shuts down in these moments, right?
Yeah.
Right.
At the time, I mean today, like we're 10 years out, so
yeah, it's different.
Like I definitely have a lot of tools now, but at the time, I had no idea what to do.
Yeah.
Like I was at a loss.
Did you guys just go silent and then continue driving for a while?
I went silent. And I was afraid. I was sort of scared, but I was also angry. Cuz I was like, who the hell do you think you're talking to? Like,
yeah, but did you feel comfortable that you could even say that?
No, not at the time. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, I was scared. But I did consider.
Yeah.
After the fact, I did consider like how to approach the situation, and I did reinforce, like, hey, this is how we talked about what we would do in these kinds of situations when there are disagreements and when we're feeling hurt or when we're feeling slighted or whatever. And let's get back to a standard. But it's a slippery slope when you start the silent treatment stuff, when you start like insults or rage or outbursts, when you start that kind of pattern in a relationship, it's really difficult to like rein it in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's some kind of allowance for it. So it's like, well, I did it before, so there's kind of room and space and permission here for me to do it again.
I don't know if it's permission.
Maybe
because you're not given, because you're not giving,
no.
But it's almost like they didn't feel the repercussions of like, wait, you did something wrong and we didn't course correct, right? Or you didn't feel like you got course corrected to a degree that that that's not acceptable again.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so you keep going. I tend to see pictures when people are talking. I see you guys like on a mountain driving, and he pulls over and he goes off, and you're like, I'm on this mountain. What do I do? But
jump.
Yeah.
Jump out the car.
You're like on this road trip to Calgary, but that's not the case. You get back on whatever road you're on, and you get going.
Yeah, I think looking back, at the time I didn't realize it, but looking back, I realized that my capacity for grace is
too
long, wide, deep, extensive. We
have to learn boundaries at times.
Exactly. Right? Grace when it isn't even warranted. And that's weird to say because I think grace is always warranted. But there's a space
it runs
where
out sometimes. Do you think it runs out?
I don't think grace runs out. I think we need to apply grace with the boundaries.
Right. Okay. Right? I can get down with that.
Yeah.
I can get down with that. Yeah.
But my capacity for grace sometimes borders on accepting bad behavior.
And the other person's understanding of I lost my train of thought. The other person's understanding of like self-control.
Yeah. And which is not, I mean, that's not my responsibility.
No, it's not.
But part of it is like there's a love that I have for other people that it makes me want the best for them. And sometimes I don't know what's best for them. But in my mind, I imagine what I think is best for them. And if I see them behaving in ways that are like harmful or that are like gross or whatever, even if they haven't told me that they want to do better, like part of my internal responsibility is like, I don't want you to act that way. I don't want you to, act out of pocket or act outside of your value system as far as I know it to be.
Yeah.
And so I will try to help you help yourself. You know what I mean? Like, who am I to let you behave this way or treat me this way when I know you don't actually want to treat me this way?
All I want to say to you is we can't save everyone. Like,
right. Exactly.
Right. It's not on our shoulders. Right. It's not on our shoulders.
Yeah.
But there is like that self-responsibility to learn certain things or have the values or build the values or understand. Like, I keep going back to the word maturity, but respect people and treat people the way you want to be treated.
Yeah.
Right? At a basic level.
Yeah.
Right?
Which sounds great, but is very hard in practice.
So do you have a big family?
I do. I have a pretty large extended family.
Okay.
Not nuclear family.
Yeah.
But I'm very much in touch with my cousins, aunts, uncles. My grandmother had, oh my goodness, I don't know, 12 or 13 brothers and sisters. My mom has like 10 or 11 brothers and sisters. My dad has like 18 brothers and sisters, like a lot of like extended family.
Yeah.
But my mom and dad only had myself and my brother.
Okay.
And then my brother passed.
Oh,
so
sorry.
Between my mother and my dad, there's only me.
Okay. No, and I even asked you a question. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, so the reason I'm asking about your family dynamics, your friends and your family dynamics, is you go through this the day after, and prior to getting married, your friends and family were like, wait. There was a bit of hesitation on their side. Before we go into who do you call after this event happens, prior to you getting married, there was hesitation. Was it just because of time, or was it something about the relationship?
I think both. The time was short.
For them, like conventional time. There's no right time.
Yes. And, when it comes to getting to know people, I do believe that more time, more revelation. So the time was short in terms of us getting to know each other individually. And so they were like, why are we rushing into marriage? Why can't we just keep fostering our friendship or dating or courting? Which we could have. Like the option is always there, but we didn't. So sorry, we have matching coughs today. So there were reservations in terms of time. And then in terms of the relationship, for me, not as many reservations.
Right.
For my friends and family, yes, because they saw me a certain way, and then they saw the person that I should be with.
Who they imagined.
I
don't know if you realize, but you keep using the word imagine.
Imagined, yes.
Yes.
They would have seen me with somebody, like this. And Samuel didn't necessarily fit that
picture.
Mold.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So they had a lot of like, are you sure, Jen? Like, what? Like, don't you need somebody who's more like this? And wouldn't you be more compatible with somebody like this? And wouldn't you? And so there were a lot of questions, and I appreciated, their candid conversations. At the end of the day, they are very supportive.
Yeah.
And open to letting me make my own decisions.
Yeah.
So bad decisions make for great stories or great podcasts.
They do. And learnings and growth and all that other great stuff.
Right.
So you're on the mountain. This happens, right? The cartoon happens. And then who do you tell and what is their response the day after you've gotten married?
Yeah, I tell no one.
Girl, we
I
do
tell no
not
one.
suffer in silence.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not
I need
today, but
not today. So,
then.
but for anyone who's suffering in silence, like
Yeah.
you do not need to suffer in silence.
Please don't.
Reach out to someone. Somebody cares. Somebody wants to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
Do not be afraid. Even if you feel like they might be like, get out, get out, get out, and you don't want that, sometimes you just need an ear.
Yeah.
Right? You just need an ear. So reach out to someone. Please don't suffer inside, even if it's the smallest thing.
Yeah. Tell somebody.
Yeah.
Tell somebody. I prayed about it. That was my go-to at the time.
Yeah.
And some of the advice that I did receive, just like take it to the Lord in prayer. Prayer is great. Prayer is not the only thing. After you've prayed, you have to do something.
The action.
Yeah. So that came much later, but at the time I didn't tell anyone.
Yeah. So
there was a lot of fear. And again, and I can recognize this and articulate it clearly now, but there was in that moment a loss that I continue to grieve and continue to grieve till this day. But I didn't know how to I didn't understand it then.
How do you and Sam recover from that moment, like days and weeks and months after, like, because I'm sure one, like you said, you're grieving that moment, but you mentally, you probably revert back to that moment because you need to be aware, right? You're not necessarily always walking on eggshells, but you're aware of where it could go.
Yes. I don't think within the marriage I recovered.
Does he know? Like, does he know?
Thank you all for joining us today. Make sure if you haven't that you like, follow, share, subscribe. We'd love to have you, and we'll see you again soon.